to do the hard work of saying, what is the total life cycle of any energy or transportation, so that we can have that honest dialogue. One of the things that was so exciting last year, I'm taking too long, but this is really exciting. I had been studying the issue of rare earths for about 4 years. And they're used in, if you've got a cell phone, if you've got a computer, if you have an electric or a hybrid car, if you have a solar panel, if you have wind technology, if you have any kind of catalytic converter, the list just goes on and on. All requires these minerals. Rather than leaving, and we all want to pursue those and improve them, correct? We all want more renewables. So how do we do it in a socially responsible way? Working with an extraordinary team of 6 scientists from WSU, UW, and PNNL. They helped me to take my work and my hope and craft a vision for JC DREAM, is the Joint Center for Deployment and Research in Earth Abundant Materials. Its declared goal is to look for alternatives that can be reliably sourced and environmentally acquired in environmentally responsible processes for next generation transportation and energy technologies. What's really exciting is that with the help of these amazing 6 scientists, we were able to get the support of every major environmental group, higher ed, the business community, the governor's office helped me, and I introduced it last year and it became law. It's the first of its kind in the nation. That's the kind of dialogue we have to have if we're going to solve these problems. So that, because for us to say we care more, but simply outsource the damage, as we're doing currently, to someone else's community, to someone else's grandchildren, to farmers who can no longer farm their land, leaving a toxic legacy of destruction, is socially unjust. It has to be for all of us. It has to be socially just for those in other countries. Their lives matter as much as our own. So that's the kind of policy I'm pursuing. I think we're building incredible support for these. The solar bill, that, there's been so many other areas. We're trying to look at helping if emissions are reduced, and help those that are creating them to be somehow rewarded for that. The issue is that right now, because we're one of the lowest emitters in the nation, 0.3% of all global emissions come from Washington State, and really at the end of the day, the primary emitter is now transportation. It's all of us. So what are we going to do? Well, we've done work on encouraging electric cars. We've done work, obviously we spent a lot of money on mass transit. We'll continue to do those things, but this is a very complex issue. I've talked too long, but again, we have to be global leaders, and I believe we can. So we've now done JC DREAM, first of its kind in the nation, the Take Back program, first of its kind in the nation. We will continue to look for solutions that will benefit our children and our grandchildren and those who come after us. That's our moral duty.
Norma's our policy expert on environmental issues, so typically when she speaks, I listen. So, Barbara and I talked about that. That was a fantastic response. Justin, are you monitoring?
So you guys, okay. Yeah, we have one last one, guys, and then we're going to break up.
Oh, just quickly. Carried over to the long session, or the full session, is this education task force, the McCleary task force. I'd like to hear from each of you your thoughts that will the task force, do you believe the task force has to address revenue reform as a significant issue in order to fix education funding going forward?
Norma's on that work group, so.
So that's our commitment. One of the things that happened, like I told you on the capital budget side, I was stunned to learn that we didn't have the data. Well, I've not been on any of these education task forces, Well, once again, to get on one and to find out, so our duty, this has been, so the last reform was in 70, and the state funding of education and compensation continued to slide and slide and slide and slide and slide, right? So now, I need to use my hands. Hold on, I don't talk very well without my hands. So now the situation that we have, and is that on the compensation part that you are funding in your local levy dollars, that is extraordinarily different all over the state. You have the state's portion of compensation. And then on top of that, in every single of our 295 districts, you have the local levy part of that compensation. So the answer is, we need to take back the basic education portion that's being funded here in this local levy, and that the state needs to assume that responsibility. Here's the problem. We don't know. Because there's basic education compensation, and then there's enhancements to education. And in every district, that is different. Every single district.
Wow.
We don't know the number. I know that's hard to believe, but at the end of the day, we can get from each of those districts the total amount that they spend for compensation. But this part hasn't been vetted. What is basic compensation? So again, launching an aggressive data collection this summer. That will come back to us. I, again, have been asked to serve on this, and I will continue to do so. I will tell you there's a great group of people in that room, Democrat and Republican, committed to this. Then we'll take that, and the hard work next year is going to be us saying, okay, we're taking that part that's coming out of local levies, and here's how we're going to have to fund it. And it is going to be intense, it is going to be difficult. Levy reform will have to be a piece of it. I did not vote for the legislation that allowed, because I thought it was a relief valve we should not have. The state should have been doing it. I didn't vote for an operating budget because of the decline in education dollars my first 5 years there, because you just stopped doing this. And, but the fact, and I voted against that bill that allowed, again, the local folks to take more and more of the responsibility because it was kicking the can down the road. But I did just vote to extend that 1 year so that we have next year to figure out how we're going to do this. Levy reform is going to have to be a piece of it, and other revenues are going to have to all be on the table, and we're all, Democrats, Republicans, working together, going to solve this problem. And I will tell you, we have been meeting every goal we set out by 2018, and we will miss this one, and we will meet this one. I will do my very best. But everything is going to have to be on the table, so we can figure out, that could be anywhere from, we just don't know. It could be $2.5 billion, it could be, or more. But we're gonna have to get there. And I will give it my very best, and I believe we will accomplish that because of the strong, strong bipartisan determination on this to do so.
So I think Nora did a great job of painting the picture of what we're facing and how we're going to be working towards that goal of fully funding education. But I need to put this caveat in there for everybody to consider, is what is it going to take for us to satisfy the Washington State Supreme Court? And my message to all of you is that I don't care what it's going to take to satisfy the Supreme Court. I care what it's going to take to do the right thing for our kids.
That's right.
And that's what we need to focus on. You know, this ruling, or these rulings, this set of rulings that the Supreme Court has made over the past few years regarding McCleary, every time they make a ruling, they move the goalpost. This latest one, they added capital into it and said, oh yeah, potentially. And they didn't really talk much about the necessity of levy reform and getting us away from depending on those local levy dollars for basic compensation and basic education needs. So the Supreme Court is not going to solve this problem, the legislature is. And that is what I would encourage everybody to remember. You know, there are politics in the courts as well. So, and when it comes down to this compensation picture that we're talking about now, nothing can paint the need for the state to take over that picture more than South Whidbey School District. No, this is great example of what happened down here last year when when the state came in and made a huge investment in maintenance supply and operating costs. So we have to be very careful about the policies that we put forward and how we address that issue of compensation.
I think in my opening remarks, I talked about the fact that we are up to almost 50% of the budget right now in education. Now that includes all areas of education, not just K-12. But I will tell you this, the levy, some people refer to it as the levy cliff, the levy situation is I think one of the most frustrating things at the state level that we see when you actually do the research and put the numbers together and see what's really going across our entire state and every school district, and how that every school district is different, every school district has different kinds of funding. I know that there is a lot of pressure to look at statewide teacher pay, and I think that that's getting some very serious consideration. And also taking that out of the local levy part for compensation. Anything that we do right now, there's a counter situation that is not good. So we're still getting there. There's a lot of very smart people working on this whole issue, both in the House, the Senate, as well as jointly. So I can tell you, I think everyone has very sincere goals to reach a solution that will help our school districts in a way that they will not be challenged in the future in ways that are not good for that school district, I guess is maybe a good way to say it. We're really, really working very hard to make sure we do that. And also having some equity across our state, rich school districts versus poor school districts. This is just not acceptable. All of our students need good teachers that are adequately compensated across the state. So I think we're really trying to get there, and we're trying to make it, I would like for us to be the model in the country, that people would want to come here and be teachers and work in our schools here because we're the best. And that's, I think, where we're all trying to get to. It's not easy. This, as Norma said, this is a very complicated issue, and it's almost from school district to school district in how we solve the problem.
So I know other people want to have questions, and I think we're going to try to stick to our format and do this breakout thing. So you still have a chance to ask your question. It'll just be directly to our local lawmakers. I think I'm going to this will be my last time at the mic here, so I'd like again to thank Barbara, Dave, and Norma for coming out during this busy session, and of course Whidbey for volunteering their space. Thank you so much. We'll probably just, we'll ask for your help in a little bit of rearrangement here, is we'll have, maybe one in each corner. So, yeah, just try and spread some chairs out this way, if you will, and that way we can get going.
Can I just say, I've got this really cool graphic that, on the operating budget that you can't read because the print's so tiny, but I'm going to have somebody help me bring that in, and if you want a copy of it, it's the best thing I've ever seen to illustrate the complexity of the operating budget, and we can send it to you online, that way you can zoom it in because the print's so tiny. It's awesome. So I'll bring it in so you can see it. I'll just put it back there, and then just contact my office if you'd like to get it electronically. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, the planet. Isn't that cool?
That was interesting.
I got it. Okay.